Hello everybody, this is Mr. Kai, and today I will be showing you how to start your science fair research and make an annotated bibliography to organize what you found through your investigation so that it's easy for you to write your research paper for your science fair topic. In order to move on to this step, you will first need to have identified a science fair topic and a problem within that field that you want to solve. For today's demo, I'm going to be using a hypothetical science fair project idea of testing different hand sanitizers or comparable products for their effectiveness. So the first step into doing an annotated bibliography is, of course, identifying what you actually need to know. In my hypothetical scenario, it would be so easy for me to just go to the internet and type in which hand sanitizers are most effective. No doubt that would get me some answers, but it wouldn't get me all the answers. That would only be a launching off point for me to do further research into finding out about what makes hand sanitizers work, what their effective ingredients are, what alternatives there are, and why those ones work or how they work and how effective they are. So, for example, I could be looking into those active ingredients, understanding why it works, and seeing if I could find alternative products that work and what kind of research there are. You could also remember some effective scientific questioning is always going to involve that it's going to be based on observations that you've made. It should involve identifying something you would like to learn more about through experimentation, researching, and surveying, right? It has to be testable through experimentation, survey, or research. It needs to be based on observations. Needs to deal with the natural world. It has to be genuine, of course, something that you don't already know the answer to. Also, likewise, it's not a scientific question if it includes personal bias and opinion. It has to deal with morals and values. It deals with supernatural, and it can't be measured. So keep those things in mind when developing a question and conducting any research. Once you've identified what you need to know and the questions that you're going to research and what search terms you're going to use in order to find those answers, you should start identifying sources. And I've gone into detail before about how to identify sources. And for now, I'm not going to go into much more detail about that, but I will upload the videos in the future. For now, I'm just going to use a source that I have already identified and vetted as credible. Live Science is an accurate source as it releases articles about science that cite their sources, and the sources that they cite are government sources primarily, medical journals, and so on and so forth. So I know that they're pretty reliable. The author has a long history. I've looked into her background. Kimberly Hickok has been a reference editor for quite some time there, has quite a bit of knowledge about what she's writing about. So I've done my vetting here. Through this search, I've found out quite a bit of information, and I can now show you, what it takes to document the research, which would be step 3 of the process, documenting your research. Now, when you're documenting research from online sources, here are some major conventions that people tend to use. This is MLA format that I'm going to be advising my students to use, as that's a good starting format for high school students, right? So if we're looking at common features of an annotated bibliography, not every online source is going to provide all of this information, but you should collect as much of it as you can find. All right, so you should be looking for the author and the editor's names. You should always put their last name first. The article name should be in quotation marks. Title of the website, project, or book should be in italics. Any version numbers available. This is normally for paper versions that have been posted online. Publisher information, including publisher name and publishing date. This might be something you need to dig for a little more. Take note of any page numbers and or paragraph numbers. Date of issue or URL, right? And the date that you access the material. Also, with an annotated bibliography, after you've cited the source, you're going to include a short summary of the relevant info that you included in the source. So to kind of circle back to that article and the sample annotated bibliography that I've prepared for you. So this is documenting your source here. This is the sample annotated bibliography I've prepared. As you can see, I actually did make a mistake here, which means I can go in and fix that right now. That should say Hickok, comma, Kimberly. All right. Last name, first name of the author, the title of the article. Here we have the journal that it was included in the website or the online publication. Here, this is the major company that this organization is what we call a subsidiary of. This is what you could think of as the publisher information. Future US Inc. They're a major media corporation. Yet another little bit of digging that I found by actually looking down here at the very bottom of the web page, where you will find Future US Inc. down here at the bottom with an address. All right, so it sometimes requires that you do a little more digging than just what you're able to see. They have the March 6th date of publication. Here's the link. And then, of course, the date that I accessed it was the 21st of April. I then go into some detail here about what's covered in that. In this article, Kimberly Hickok explains how hand sanitizers work. I don't really need to read this whole thing to you. You understand that I've summarized some major points in here, including where she found the information. For example, when she talks about how hand sanitizers work, she got that information from a microbiology journal. I made it clear in here that I know this is a reliable source by pointing out her sources, right? So that's definitely helpful in understanding how that's going to fit into my paper overall. Now, it's good to have about 5 sources if you're writing a 5-paragraph article. More is always better. The more you have to back up your claims, the better. Now, that pretty much covers all that I need to get into when it comes to creating an annotated bibliography for your science fair project. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you very much for listening to my instructional video. Happy science fair.